New York City, a place where power lives in glass towers and silence rides in the back of black cars. On this night, a millionaire CEO stepped into his sedan. Another long day behind him, another empire to run tomorrow. He leaned back against the leather seat, ready for peace. But he never got it. Because before the driver even touched the wheel, a voice cut through the dark. "Shut up." The CEO froze. His chest tightened. Who dared speak to him like that? Slowly, his eyes shifted, and there he was, a little black boy, maybe 10 years old, sitting in the back seat as if he had always been there. His legs dangled above the floor, his small fists clenched tight, his stare locked on the man who thought he ruled the city. For the first time in years, the CEO was speechless. The CEO's jaw tightened. No one in his entire life had ever spoken to him that way. Not investors, not politicians, not even his rivals. His voice dropped low, sharp like a knife. "Do you know who I am?" The words hung in the air, heavy, dangerous. But the boy didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't move. Instead, he leaned forward, his little chest rising and falling as though he carried a storm inside him. And then he said it again. "Shut up." The CEO's breath caught. For a moment, anger surged. How dare this child, a stranger, sit in his car and talk to him like that? But beneath those words, there was something else. The boy's voice trembled. His hands shook in his lap. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't disrespect. It was fear. And for the first time in years, the CEO felt something he didn't recognize. Uneasy. Calm but tense, like every word is a clue. The car rolled through the streets of New York, headlights slicing the dark. Inside, silence pressed heavy against the glass. The CEO leaned forward, his voice low, controlled. "Tell me who you are, right now." The boy didn't answer. His small fists tightened. His shoulders shook, just slightly, but his eyes, they never left the man in front of him. The CEO felt his patience slipping. Anger bubbled up again. He had ended careers with a single sentence. He had silenced entire rooms with a single look. But this boy wasn't afraid of him. At least, not in the way others were. His lips trembled, his breathing quickened, and when he finally spoke, his words were softer, broken. "Please, just shut up." Not defiance, not rebellion. It was something else. It was survival. The chauffeur kept his eyes on the road. He didn't dare say a word. But inside the car, the air was suffocating. The CEO leaned closer, his voice colder now. "You're in my car. You don't belong here. Tell me why." The boy shook his head. His small chest rose and fell, faster, harder. And then, his eyes darted to the window, as if trying to escape without moving. The CEO narrowed his eyes. Something wasn't right. This wasn't random. Finally, the boy whispered. His voice cracked, but the words were sharp enough to cut. "Because when you talk, I hear my dad." The CEO froze. Those words landed heavier than any insult, heavier than any threat. The boy's fists clenched tighter. His jaw quivered. And for the first time, the CEO felt it. This child wasn't here to challenge him. He was here because the CEO's voice carried a ghost. The CEO's breath caught. His dad? He straightened in his seat, confusion flashing across his face. What do you mean, your dad? The boy's eyes burned, not with anger, but with pain. His voice was unsteady, like each word scraped against his throat. You sound just like him. The way you talk, the way you order people around, the way you think everyone has to listen. The CEO's heart thudded. A strange unease crawled through him. He had fired countless men over the years, dismissed them without thought. To him, they were numbers on a page, names on a list. Forgettable, replaceable. But the way this boy spoke, it wasn't about some stranger. It was about someone close. The CEO leaned in, his voice softer now, though it still carried the edge of command. What happened to him? The boy's lips trembled. His small hands wiped at his eyes. And then, in a voice so quiet it almost broke, "He used to work for you." The CEO's chest tightened. The words sank deep. And for the first time that night, he wasn't angry. He was afraid. The CEO's pulse hammered in his ears. The boy's words kept echoing. "He used to work for you." Images flickered in his mind, faces he had dismissed, voices he had silenced. He couldn't remember them all, didn't want to. But this one clearly mattered. The CEO swallowed hard, his tone gentler now, almost careful. "What happened to your father?" The boy's eyes filled with water. His small voice cracked. "You took everything from him." The CEO flinched. The words hit harder than any boardroom battle ever had. The boy pressed on, fists clenched against his knees. One day he came home, and he wasn't the same. He lost his job, he lost his pride, and after that, he lost us. The CEO's throat tightened. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat, but there was... The boy's next words were like a knife, sharp and final. "That's why I told you to shut up, because every word you say feels like him all over again." In that moment, the millionaire CEO, the man who had commanded boardrooms, silenced investors, and crushed rivals, sat frozen, with nothing to say. The car was dead quiet. Not even the sound of the engine could cut through it. The CEO's jaw clenched. His eyes darted to the tinted glass, as if looking for an escape, but there was none. For the first time in years, he felt powerless. He tried to speak, but his voice came out thin. What was your father's name?" The boy's lips quivered. His chest rose and fell, sharp and uneven. Finally, he whispered it. "A name." The CEO's stomach dropped. He remembered. Not the man's face, not the sound of his laugh, not the family that waited for him at home. No, he only remembered the paperwork. The pink slip, the cold decision to cut costs, to trim the fat. And now, that decision was sitting in front of him, wearing the pain of a child. The boy's voice rose, shaky but fierce. "He told me once he was invisible to you. Just another name, another number. But to me, he was everything." The CEO's throat burned. His chest felt heavy. He could silence boardrooms, but he couldn't silence this boy. And in that small, confined space, the weight of his choices finally caught up to him. The mask of power is gone. The CEO's hands trembled against the leather seat. For years he had built walls of steel around himself. But now, a single boy's voice had torn them down. He leaned forward, his voice low, raw. "I remember your father." The boy's head snapped up, eyes blazing with a mix of anger and hope. The CEO swallowed, shame burning through him. I signed the papers. I ended his job. And I told myself it was nothing. Just buh. His voice cracked. But the truth? I knew it wasn't nothing. I saw the way he looked at me that day, like a man losing the ground beneath his feet. The boy's lip trembled. His fists stayed tight. The CEO pressed on, words tumbling now, as if confessing to the dark itself. I told myself I didn't care, that I couldn't afford to care. But I did. God help me, I did. And I buried it, buried him, like all the others. His breathing grew shallow. He forced the words out. And every time I walk into my office, sit at my desk, close another deal, I hear voices like his, echoing, asking me why. Silence. Then, his head dropped into his hands. The unshakable CEO, the man feared in boardrooms across the country, was finally broken. The boy sat there, his small frame shaking, his eyes burning. For a moment, it looked like he would explode with rage. But instead, he did something no one expected. Awe. He leaned back, exhaled, and whispered, "I don't hate you." The CEO lifted his head, stunned. Tears rimmed his tired eyes. The boy's voice wavered, but it carried a strength far beyond his years. "I just wanted you to know, my dad wasn't a number. He was a man, and he mattered." The CEO's chest heaved. His lips parted, but no words came. That simple truth, delivered by a child, hit harder than any punishment. The boy's hands unclenched. His voice softened. "If I hate you, then I become like you. And my dad, he wouldn't want that." The car filled with silence, but it wasn't heavy anymore. It was healing. The CEO stared at the boy, his heart cracking open wider with every second. And for the first time in his life, sometimes, forgiveness is the loudest truth of all. What do you think? Could you forgive someone who shattered your family? Tell me in the comments below, and let me know which country you're watching from, and what time it is right now. I love seeing how far these stories travel around the world. And hey, if this moment hit you as hard as it hit me, don't forget to subscribe. More stories like this are coming. The CEO sat frozen, staring at the little boy beside him. For years, his world had been filled with numbers, contracts, and silence. But in this car, in the simplest of words, his entire life had been rewritten. He reached into his coat pocket, pulling out something he hadn't touched in years. A photo, creased, worn, of a much younger him standing in front of the factory where it all began. Back when he still believed people mattered more than profit. His voice trembled as he handed it to the boy. "I lost myself along the way," he whispered. "But tonight, you reminded me who I used to be." The boy took the photo, silent. His eyes softened. For the first time, the tension between them eased. And then, the CEO made a promise, not just to the boy, not just to his father's memory, but to himself. Tomorrow, everything changes. No more forgetting the faces behind the numbers. The car door opened. The night air rushed in. The boy stepped out, his small frame disappearing into the city lights. The CEO sat there, gripping the steering wheel. Tears ran down his face, and for the first time in decades, he didn't feel powerful. He felt human. Sometimes it only takes one voice, one brave child, to wake up a man who had the world but lost his soul. Would you have forgiven him? Or would you have walked away? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And before you go, let me know which country you're watching from and what time it is right now. I'm always amazed at how stories like this connect us across the world. If this touched you, hit that subscribe button, because the next story might just change the way you see the world too.